Now you can hear me. Okay, so I'm so excited to present the Spanish curriculum to the community. I couldn't be more happy to be part of this project. And this is a new baby. It's the continuity of what I have been creating since 15 years ago when I started first in Butler. So a little bit about me. I came 15 years ago and I never taught in middle school, and I just asked for the trial. And I remember Becky Hardy says, you can try and let's see, in 3 months, just we can meet. And then that was happened 15 years ago. And then since then, I been happy in this environment in Park House with all the experiences that life has given me in this area, and all the students that have been through this journey. And I am in my 15 years, so I'm looking forward for many more. So, right, Emma? So this is a little bit about me, but teaching basically is my passion, is my driven every single day, and is what keeps me motivated, alive, with energy, inspired every single day that I wake up and I have to come to school to see my students. Yes, Emma? Dr. Montessori was one of the big supporters for students learning a second language. It keeps the brain working and thinking and growing every single with every single experience. And she emphasized in the conversational part of learning a second language. So that is what basically I am trying to encourage in all the levels. Try to speak, try to have a conversation. It doesn't matter how perfect it is, but communication is what it matters most. And one of my favorite quotes is that education cannot be effective unless it helps a child to open himself to life. And what a better way that communicating, than learning about other cultures, that learning what is happening. It gives us a broad opportunity to know and to experience other lives and other cultures and life, what is happening in other parts of the world. So that's why communication and Spanish, it's fundamental. So the Spanish curriculum is customized education where the student is the center of all. It's adapted to individual, to pairs, to small groups, to whole groups, because it's an independent pace. Everyone goes to their own pace, rhythm, and knowledge, styles, and skills. We have the approach to get real life situations that are happening also globally. We work project-based. Every single unit that I'm going to show you later on has projects where the students are exposed to not only research, but to know, to learn, and also to produce based on the projects and on the information. So one of the important things is also, this is a recycle method. It's a spiral. You start learning something, but you are going to recycle the same knowledge over and over in units. So through the 4 years and the 16 units, you are recycling what you are learning in the first one, in the second one. You will need it. And the grammar, context, and all the steps that you are learning in 1 year, you are strengthening them with the unit, with the time. So this curriculum also has an individual approach. It doesn't matter if the student is in a group of other students. I have individual expectations. Each one of them has to have individual expectations, and they will be assessed independently also. We cannot compare in the process of learning a language or learning anything, how the others are doing is how I am doing. And that's my encouragement daily of you need to do your best because it's your potential, it's your experience, it's not the other ones. And also, one of the greatest things that now we have is all the standards and all the curriculum is aligned not only with the Montessori philosophy in the teaching process, but also with the MCPS foreign language, and in fact with the Maryland Department of Education, and it's aligned with the ACTFL, which is the institution that standardized the learning and the process of the second language. They assess, they evaluate, and they make the testing, the official testing to pass the test in high school. So that we will talk about a little bit later on. So if you see the curriculum, the topics and the process, it's all combined. This is the Montessori, we are aligned with Montgomery, we are aligned with what standards of Maryland Department of Education is expecting because they are following the ACTFL protocols. The Spanish curriculum is integrated to all areas and academic areas. Humanities, study and work, math, biology, all the areas. This unit, in fact, which is unit 11, right, Olivia? The quality of life, calidad de vida, is very connected with science and biology. We are doing, we are knowing the body parts, we are knowing the how to stay healthy, the well-being, the what factors affect the growing and the daily life, how we can get a balance between physical life and mental life. And I start with one group, the basic group, with learning the body parts. And as I am going up with the levels, they are now producing and reflecting about their own lives, how the sports, how the activities that they do inside and outside the school help, and in which way help to keep a better life. What is quality of life for you and what is quality of life for me are different, right? The ages, the needs, and the experiences. But also we're gonna go a little bit further in quality of life also depends of cultures, depends of economic resources, depends of governments, depends of what institutions I have around me that support my needs, health, how we cover, and the big example that I'm going to use is COVID, right? How was COVID supported in different ways with different resources? And this type of topic is what we need. What my goal is to start like planting the seed in the students, so then are able to reflect in another language, with another capacity, with another vocabulary. So get ready, because that's my goals. They are able to sustain conversations. They are able to sustain a dialogue. They know what they are talking about. And even if it's in a not perfect way, they should be able to respond. They should be able to understand and express their feelings, their likes, their dislikes, their favor and against points toward different topics. So that is the process of a single unit, for example, in this case, biology, but also PE. We are doing movement, right? So we are doing sports, we are doing pastimes. So how I connected with other ones, it's in many ways, and basically with all the units. So that's a very integrated and very up-to-date curriculum. Okay, so Spanish, now I do correct it, not Spanish, it's Spanish. It's a 4-year cycle, and this is the timeline. We have 4 cycles, A, B, C, and D. Each cycle has 4 units with 4 topics. After the 4th year, we start again with the cycle A. So as you can see in the cycle A, it doesn't mean that the students on cycle D or cycle B who start the process of learning Spanish, they're not gonna get any information, no, because it's recycled. And I have to use and reuse vocabulary and topics from different cycles and units every single year. So that's why it's a constant reusing and recycle of the topics and vocabulary. So after 4 years, then we start again emphasizing in the topic, in the units that every cycle has, but all of the units are connected, are interconnected. Okay. So we have usually 3 times a week, every class, and it includes 6 to 8 weeks teaching for unit. I'm expecting classwork and assignments at least minimum an hour a day. There is no way that we can learn a second language and if we don't support it at home. Of course, they need a little bit of time. It's not their own language. It's not their own comfort zone. So they need to get the extra mile to get there. Not only in class, in the work period, but also at home. The encouragement of families, of parents, the encouragement of also selecting Spanish countries to travel, right? Also, once in a while, watching Spanish movies. Get Spanish books. So this is, they are getting what they are seeing at home. Modeling this practice encourage the learning of a second language. If it's a third language, even easier, because once your brain has the first language and is making level with the second language, the third language comes so easy. And that is an exercise that many families does. Once they have one second language at home, getting the third language is way more easy. They start connecting and they start making sense of things that they learn in the language 1, in the language 2, and of course in the language 3. So it's an interconnection of language. Your brain, any brain is able to do it. So we need to promote it, we need to support it. Teaching a second language is not as easy as teaching like humanities, right? Everybody is in their comfort zone. Teaching a second language has their challenge. We need double motivation. We need double encouragement in everything. So that's why there is a process when maybe I feel like I'm not able to do much, but it's because your brain is processing everything. And then in dedicating a little bit more of time sometimes at the beginning is worth it, because then you're going to make the connections. So Spanish is 4 levels: Spanish 1, Spanish 2, Spanish 3, and Spanish 4. Each one is assessed and evaluated at the end of each unit and at the end of each year. So with final exam or a final test, and in each level there are different levels of learning: initial, intermediate, and advanced. That means if one student is in Spanish 1 and he's probably in the initial level, which means is the equivalent to introduction to Spanish, or could be in an intermediate level. Sometimes they have some background of Spanish and then is able to keep up more with the pace of the class. And learning is not as hard as just coming with nothing. And advanced, that means that that student is able to process all the information, to process all and manage all the skills. The skills include reading, writing, listening, and speaking, and also producing, right? So that is what I call advanced. So no matter what, in what level the student is, they are going to go in the initial, intermediate, or advanced level. And I can have students with a Spanish 1 or a Spanish 2 in the same room, which I will level and I push them to do what I know they are able to do. So it is this initial, intermediate, and advanced level is is aligned with the ACTFL standards, because we cannot do all initial, we cannot do all intermediate, or we cannot all advanced. So if a student is in Spanish 1 but is in advanced level, I am giving them more material which is equivalent or is expected in Spanish 2. Is clear or is confusing? Okay, it's perfect. Okay. Yes, Emma. Okay, this is what is going through all cycles and all units. So the initial, intermediate, and advanced levels are in each group, Spanish 1 to 4. Then I start with basic unit terms and vocabulary every unit. And I introduce grammar rules and writing practice, no matter what level and no matter what Spanish is the student is. I start with the simple thing and then I advancing. I start with present tense, regular, then irregular, then past tense, regular, irregular, then future, regular, irregular, and then complicated the life of my students little by little, adding more tenses and more grammar content because I know they are able to make it. That is recycling through the units. And with that part, I encourage the critical thinking through conversation, through reading, to writing, to questioning the students, all the process what they are having through the classes. We do oral presentations, we do fiestas, we do handouts, we do basically writing and inquiring constantly. We do games, we do movies, we analyze situations, we do lecturas. So it's through a different set of activities that all these grammar start making connection. They are bringing their own inquiries also when they are learning or when they are seeing or when they are watching something that is called the attention. So for native Spanish speakers, the skills are conducted in 100% in Spanish, and also the assessment is going to be different than non-Spanish speakers. And for the advanced students, they are practicing skills to be eligible for the AP test later on. Why? Because they are decoding information, they are analyzing, and they are now able to produce at the level that the tests are setting for advanced students. So that's the goal of what we are planning here with the Spanish curriculum. Okay. Okay, this is how the cycle A with 4 units looks like. Ciclo de la moda, vida escolar, inmigración, and there are many subtopics that are in each of the units. For the non-Spanish speakers, again, and for the advanced students, it is a spiral that includes Spanish levels from 1 to 4 and units 1 to 4 almost at the same time. So if we are doing Ciclo de la Moda, but I can include vida escolar, I can include some things of the migración or vacaciones, because they are units. The topic is different, but the grammar and the content of the structure of the class is the same one. So for a non-Spanish speaker, they should be able to respond to all the integration of the topics. The same as for the advanced students that are heading to the test, to the more advanced Spanish level, okay? Then the cycle B. We have los pasatiempos, Festival del Sabor, que regalo, which means the tiendas, nuestros líderes, and the same thing for non-Spanish speakers and advanced students for AP tests. All these units, I have to tell you, they are part of, some of the names are different, but they are related to the latest textbooks for the county and for the state. And those books and those textbooks are meant to be also advanced placements, and they are aligned with the test of ACTFL, which is the organization that evaluate and assess the Spanish second language, okay? And this is the last cycle, los deportes, el porvenir, conociendo los indígenas, and bellas artes. These ones also, that's what I did in the curriculum for high school. We start with the simple thing, and then I am expanding the topics to a more inquiring and to more thoughtful topics. We're gonna see an example, Emma, in the next one, how a unit looks like for the different levels. So in the cycle D, one of the topic is knowing other civilizations in America. I have to tell you that this one is AP Spanish in some of the high schools. Spanish 1 is gonna not limit, but they're gonna start learning about ancient civilizations in America. The simple thing, like the basic needs of 2 or 3 civilizations. So then Spanish 2 is gonna go more to the Incas, Aztecas, and Maya. We're gonna study, or they are going to research about history, the basic needs, but also then what was the legacy? What are myths and legends, right, that we can have? And we are going to situate geographically where they were located, what is the influence, and comparing now the back and the current inheritance of the civilizations. Spanish 3 are going to explore more tribes in America. Taínos, Caribes, Arawakos, same thing, location, and what are the remainings? What is the contribution of those civilizations to our life today, or to the countries where they are now? What are specific contrasts and myths and legends they have between civilizations? Spanish 4 goes more to the what archaeologists do, archaeological mysteries on other civilizations. So they have to continue researching, and what are those evidence? They can plan, of course, field trips. They can plan interviews. They can plan speakers or visiting any landmark that is related to the topic. Native Spanish speaker and advanced students will be working basically on questioning, right? They need to figure out how to respond and how to prepare to respond the following questions, right? They have to research. And again, they have to prepare papers. They have to do the writings. And the writings are, with the time, are going to be more structured, more formal. How do you present a formal paper talking about civilizations in America in Spanish 4? Yes, I am preparing the students from now, writing simple paragraphs. How do you write the paragraph? Because if you got to Spanish 4, you should be able to respond to a grade paper that is expected at your level. Of course, everything is at their level, at their own level. Sorry. So this is how any unit it looks like. So my entire curriculum is divided in Spanish 1, Spanish 2, Spanish 3, Spanish 4. What is the vocabulary for each level? What are the topics? And some of the works that they can do and recycle also. Okay. We're going to the very interesting part, which is the assessment. And that is a point that, let me just go on. Because this is an integrated, so I don't forget the words, integrated performance assessment. We check everything that the student can produce, the outcomes that the students can give from topic, in the writing, in the reading, in the listening, in the speaking, in the engagement, in the creativity, in the response that they are having. Each unit is going to be assessed at the beginning, in the middle, at the end, in different forms. Every single day, I am assessing the students with a simple question, with a simple activity, with a simple sentence, with a response, with anything that I can make them think and rethink and reflect. So those 4 skills, the main skills, are constantly assessed. That's why it's integrative. Sometimes it can be through interpersonal, which is how the person is feeling and showing the confidence with the topic in different ways, either writing, reading, or listening, or by speaking. When it's interpersonal or presenting orally, how the student is expressing the ideas. What was the outcome first when he start or she start like getting and absorbing the information, and how is expressing it in a presentation. So that's why the different forms of assessment. It can be a combined assessment between vocabulary and how they can create sentences through the vocabulary, how they are absorbing the meaning of a vocabulary. Continue with the projects, with the presentations, and through all the units, usually we have fiestas, formal and informal. So this is a constant and intense cycle of assessing every single day what the student is reflecting and absorbing and experiencing, and also letting others know that it's part of what they know, right? So basically, what is the proficiency that they are showing at the end of every single unit? It's the goal. It's initial, it's intermediate, it's advanced. It doesn't depend on me, on you. It's depending on each one of you. That's my constant repetition to them, is what you do for you, because this is your learning. This is the opportunity for you to learn. And I always put myself as an example. I wish I could have learned Spanish, English at an early age, but I'm not looking for perfection in my English. I'm looking for being able to communicate as I am doing it tonight. So, see, chicos, that's why. Emma? By doing all this, the activities, all the parts that are stated in the program, having the experiences of what they are exposing right now in the high school, that is the road trip to get finally the Maryland seal of bilateralcy. And that is important because that is what gives you the big support when you're going to college. You can do it because the school is giving you the tools. You have to work for it. Nobody can do it for you because now you have the privilege of having it in your hands. So work for it, that we will push you to get that seal when you get ready to move to high school. So that's basically a program that is rigorous and consistent and starting lower elementary. It gets strength in upper elementary, and now in the high school, it has the vision to get more toward what we are facing, the global studies, the 21st century students' preparation to face what we need to prepare in each individual and to face the reality in the world, right? Every single word, every single thing that you learn, it will be worth it for your life experience. You will get better opportunities in jobs. You will get better opportunities when you're traveling. And you will help somebody that have no clue of your Spanish sometime, because every time we have situations where we can help. So go for it. So that's what is the Spanish. So every single part that it is designing the curriculum is taking you to get better and to be very proficient in the Spanish. I love this part especially because the Spanish curriculum and this curriculum in Butler, it's a language that is not tool for communication. I am part of that one. I am emphasizing that one. It's for communication, right? It's to how you transmit ideas, but it's basically appreciation for other cultures. It's how you can see other cultures important and affecting your life in different ways. You don't know where are you going to live, where are you going to for vacations, or who is going to be your neighbor that probably you can impact their life. So as well as community of humankind. That's to me the goal. And in Butler, we are on board on the 21st century global education. So that's what we're preparing the students for. And here we have a mix of different experiences they have, different ways of learning. Is not a traditional form of learning the language, is through more to the experience and encouragement of communication. How do you express? How do you say it? Say it, no matter what, but just say it, and then learning about what other cultures have to contribute in our lives is basically that one. So that's what my goal is with the curriculum. Muchas gracias. Okay, preguntas.
Is that questions?
Yes, that is question.
Okay. I do have a question. I was wondering about both the AP exam and also the seal of biliteracy. Like, when do you anticipate that they will be ready for either?
Okay, they are working. I'm gonna go with Emma, but I can tell you that they are working on the Spanish 1, Spanish 2, Spanish 3, which is equivalent to 9, 10, and 11, right? The fourth year, they should be able to have some trials to see how to, like the mock exams. So if C at the end, they can take the final ACTFL test. And the ACTFL test is divided in skills. So maybe when they are, next year, Emma, it's the 11th, so they can take a mock test, and see how they are doing in their performance so we can start practicing. We are new in this one, and I am also learning in this process on how to get better and what areas I have to strengthen to support more the students, and also each individual students, depending on their own needs. But in general, there are 4 different tests, and they can take the tests at different times. So we can start trying first with the trials. Emma?
I'll just add as well that for the AP tests in particular, there are 2 of them for Spanish. One is AP language, and the AP Spanish language and AP Spanish literature. Between the 2 of them, the language one is a little bit easier, and the literature one is a little bit harder. So if you kind of look at like how many years there are left in your child's high school education, we would say probably the AP language exam in 11th grade and probably the AP literature exam in 12th grade to give them the best chance of success. You wouldn't take them the same year typically, because that's a whole lot of Spanish that you have to do. So it depends, though. It depends on every child. It depends on where their Spanish levels are. And at Butler, they're ahead of their MCPS peers, right? Because we start Spanish so much earlier than they do in MCPS. So it is possible that kids have already basically accomplished the level of Spanish 1 before they even come to the intermediate program. Like they got it in the elementary. So when you start to build on top of that, if they were fairly advanced, okay, well, they passed Spanish 1 before they even got to 7th grade, 7, 8, 9, they managed to make it through Spanish 2 and Spanish 3. So by the time they started in 10th grade, they could be at the level of Spanish 4 at that point. And then we might be saying, okay, maybe you're ready to take that AP language exam at the end of 10th grade, and then the literature one at the end of 11th, right? So it's fairly flexible, but it really depends on like where your skill set is. Does that make sense?
So since we have Olivia here and Max, I'm just curious, like, where are they? Like, where's Olivia?
Well, Senora, you're going to have to answer this and start with Olivia because you have them in class. And then Max, we need to talk about what you've learned in Spanish this year.
Okay. Before going to Olivia, Quincy, another thing that I just forget to say is I am integrating readings to each unit, and the readings start with the simple, but the reading and the analysis of reading is advanced, and also it's included with Hispano-American literature. So I'm not saying exactly, oh, we are going to study Hispano-American authors, or we are going to do Hispano-American, because that is a complete class in high school and in college. But Max can tell about what we were reading, which is part of the literature, Hispano-American literature, because it's cultural. There are authors from Mexico, from everywhere, and they have famous passages of famous readings or famous writings and books that I start analyzing with them. The same as with music, right? So in each unit, I need to clarify that one, that the advanced students are able to get more into Hispano-American literature analysis, and then comparing authors. I already did, like, for example, in one year, I analyzed Mango Street, and then we did all the topic and analysis of immigration and family matters and family concerns between the first generation of immigrants and the second generation of immigrants. That was advanced, and that was incredible to see and to listen, because of course, we all know immigrants, we know all people who are coming, and those were familiar situations that we were able to analyze through the book, and it was the entire book. with Max, I'm gonna go back to you. We did it. We also, so the point is the readings, the literature for the extended part of the actual test also is integrated inside the curriculum. So we're gonna go little by little and also depending on the students, okay? But it's integrated in all the classes at different levels. So Olivia, qué bueno que estás aquí, Olivia, me gusta. Es una experiencia increíble, Olivia. Y yo quiero que tú compartas un poco de tu experiencia en la clase de español y me digas más o menos cómo tú te sientes en la clase.
En español, ¿sí?
En español, Olivia.
Estoy cansada.
Yo lo sé, es un día largo. ¿Qué tema estás estudiando ahora?
Ahora nosotros estamos aprender acerca de, wow, ¿qué es unit?
La calidad de vida.
Oh, okay. Nosotros solo
¿Empezamos?
empezamos la calidad de vida y nosotros empezamos con ¿qué es? Like worksheet,
Una hoja.
una hoja de vocabulario con like phrases y palabras de la calidad de vida y nosotros escribimos párrafos de nuestras calidad de vida como deportes y nuestras salud.
Qué chévere. ¿Y tú qué escribiste de tu deporte? ¿Qué tú haces para mantener tu calidad de vida?
Yo practico voleibol y solamente el actividades o todo, like como nuestras párrafo primero o todo.
Lo que tú quieras, tú puedes compartir lo que tú quieras.
Okay. Well, yo practico voleibol y yo quiero leer, a mantener mi salud mental.
¿Y cuántas veces practicas voleibol?
Yo practico para dos años y practico en martes y jueves a las 8 en punto a las 10 en punto.
Oh, genial. ¿Y cómo el voleibol contribuye a tu balance físico y balance mental?
Cuando yo practico voleibol estoy muy
¿Enfocada?
enfocada y no tengo creo acerca de mis problemas y mi tarea.
Exacto, exacto, muy bien. Olivia, ¿cómo tú te ves ahora en español comparado a otro año, al año anterior, por ejemplo? ¿Cómo tú te sientes comparado al año pasado y a otro año?
Mi mi párrafos y el like sentence structure.
Las oraciones.
Las oraciones es más complicado que cuando fue en
El séptimo.
séptimo y 80, I don't know.
Y octavo, ¿sí?
En
Octavo, sí.
octavo, ok.
Y well, tengo más, like, sé más palabras que luego.
Exactamente. So Olivia, I had Olivia since she was in lower elementary, right, Olivia? And
Mhm.
then upper elementary, she came and 7 years and constantly she has been practicing the reading, the writing, the speaking. And at this level, she's able to articulate the idea. She's able to respond to an idea. She has been writing, she has been thinking, but it's not only the current topic. If I can ask Olivia about, let's see, the last topic, she's able also to set it, to respond. So her level of comprehension, it's advanced. She has been constantly in the practice, in the reading. So now is strengthened her vocabulary, her confidence, especially. So she will be able to face the challenges of the advanced levels. But at this point is she's getting, the language is getting in her brain, basically. And she knows what is happening. She's correcting me in the class. If I miss something or if I do something wrong, she's the first person that is like, oh, Senora, you missed this one, or you did, it doesn't supposed to be this one, or you missed this one, even spelling, right? So that is amazing because you, for getting to that point, is because she has been exposed to the language over and over and over. So I will say she's currently in an advanced level because she's able to articulate, she's able to write, she's able to read and understand. So it is to refine her learning and continue pushing her to do more, right? To learn about other things. She's getting the basic, but now she's getting more cultural knowledge, general knowledge, and being able to respond. Like I always being with them. You have to write about your weekend. You have to write about different topics because by writing is a practice that you made it so easy at the point that at some moment they are asking you to write about anything and they are able to articulate it, they are able to put it. Now they are in an advanced level where they can put subjunctive, and that is the critical part in Spanish. Subjunctive, is not an easy learner as to teach it, right? But it's getting there. They are getting to that point by the practice, by the consistency. And to me, this is one of the keys in learning a second language or learning anything, right? Consistency. If we give up when we see the trouble or the difficulty in front of us, then the easy path is just to give up, right? Or take it easy, right? But through the effort and because I know the students, I know how far I can push them. And that's what I like them. And I say, I don't mind that you hate me now because you're gonna love me later. That's my goal. That's my motto. You hate me now, you love me later on. And that's the feedback that I receive from everyone who's finishing Spanish, and then they are even get bored in other schools because they say, this is so easy. This is so easy. Of course, I've been pushing you. So thank you, Olivia. I'm sorry that I put you on the spot. Now let me go back with Max. Max.
You're muted.
Yes,
he run
I know
away?
I was muted.
Oh, there you
I
go.
know I was muted.
Okay, thank you, Max.
I have not learned a single thing in high school. I am currently just sitting in class and writing down whatever the teacher asks me to. it is not hard.
Yeah.
There has been no growth. So I'll be wherever I end up. I have no clue.
Thank
Yeah.
you, Max, for being so honest. And also, I will push you, no worries. But you were in a good level when you left the school. You were in Spanish too. But you were able to also remember, Max, the activities that we did about the La Llorona. Can you
Yeah,
tell us about a
I
little
remember
bit
that.
about that? Yeah.
In English.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So basically,
For now.
all right. Basically, La Llorona was it's a story about a woman who falls in love with a captain, I think, in the Spanish military. Um, and she basically falls in love with this guy and lives in an apartment that he basically buys her, or like basically lives in a home that he gets her, and they have children. But one day he just doesn't come back for a while, and she goes to his main house, and he's having a big party with another woman, and she gets really mad. Um, and for some reason she blames her children, and so she drowns her children. Um, yeah, it's not a happy story.
And also it has a song that is the
Yeah.
Mexican version. But every single country has La Llorona, and La Llorona is a song, is a dress, it's a very cultural things in South America. So that was very funny the year, because he was with Ken, and also Ken knew the song and knew the story. So that is part of literature. So they are exposed to literature, right? Another advanced level that I do when I see the students that is capable to do it is poetry. I did odas, right? So how to convert some vocabulary into a poem, into oda, or like how did you explain oda in English, Emma? It just
And it's an ode, right?
yeah, a ode, exactly.
Poem that is expressing great admiration for someone or something.
Even if it's a pencil, even if it's a chair, or even if it's a table, something that is special, so you can write.
Pablo Neruda is famous for odes in particular.
So also I do literature doing metaphors and similes. All the figures in grammar that are in English language, also I make the level on Spanish level. So how I can use language and vocabulary to create this fantastic and magic way of putting words and putting the language in and creating in their own language, even if it sounds crazy. Another example of writing, remember Olivia and Max about the Butler, El Lago de Butler, El Misterio de Butler, right? Do you remember that one, Max?
Yeah.
Okay, can you explain a little bit about the writing part? So, writing stories.
Yeah, well, basically we would write stories about kind of whatever we thought was funny. So there were some interesting stories being told, but it really did help us uh learn how all of our vocabulary and everything. It was fun because we just kind of wrote about whatever. There was some interesting stories that came from Derek specifically, and Grady. Those ones were normally the most unhinged.
Yeah, I give them a prompt. I give them a place. They have to create their character, and they have to create the plot, the initial, how the drama is developed, and then who's the good guy, who's the bad guy, and then what are the consequences if and how the study ends. That is also, and if it's, for example, the Halloween time, it is more mystery, right? So we include expressions or words that are like, oh no, ay bendito, all the expressions that make very colloquial the language. So when they are learning the language, they are also learning some of the colloquial vocabulary and expressions that we have. One last thing, Max, your experience in Puerto Rico, and also Olivia, of course, the experience of traveling to Puerto Rico. What that experience leave on you, in both of you?
Well, yeah, so Puerto Rico was just, it was an amazing experience, right? It was hard to understand people at first, especially because they all talked so fast. But once we got settled in a little bit, it was easier to kind of pick out words that we kind of already knew. And of course, we'd order as much of our food in Spanish as possible, because that was like the most we got to speak to like random people. But it was really good way to kind of train our ears to be able to pick up as many words as possible as fast as possible, because especially with another language, it sounds like they're talking at super speed, right? But eventually you kind of get used to it and you're able to pick out certain words and stuff starts to make sense.
Yeah. And for you, Olivia?
In English?
It was good?
Do I get to say it in English or Spanish?
No, you can say it in English. I'm not going to
Okay.
put you in the spot.
Well, all the people were really nice, and they did talk really fast. But I learned a lot about like the culture and the environment there, because we also interviewed a bunch of people,
Yeah.
and it was really nice. It
Yeah.
was also kind of hot.
It is kind of hard. Believe me, I'm still trying, and it's still hard for me. So with all of this experience, what I would like to just to share that they are learning about what is happening in Colombia. I am from Colombia, and I always try to share my roots, my experience, my culture, my food, my music, my energy from that part. But also to know very close other parts. So in the unit of Mis Vacaciones, they have to plan the entire trip with a specific budget to a country. So they study, they research the country, then it's like, if it's a real trip, but is their trip, is their planning, is everything. So, and it's fascinating because they come up with, with some ideas, and is one of other of my favorite units. So I am enjoying every single unit that I'm teaching, because in any unit, there is so much to learn. So, and that is incredible. So thank you, chicos, for your responses, sorry to put you in the spot.
No, it's
I
okay.
think
Oh, Miss
I
Soderbergh.
think that's a perfect place to wrap up. Because it's 7 o'clock, and I promised Miss Baradia she could have the Zoom room back for her tours that she does. But Max and Olivia Frog, you know where to find Senora. So if you have any more
Of course.
questions, she'd be so happy to see you. And thank you for being so gracious and so graceful about being put on the spot also. It was a wonderful thing to watch you. Yeah, amazing.
Yeah.
And thank you, Senora. Wow, I'm
you.
so excited for these children. It's so amazing. Yeah.
Thank you to Butler for let me be part of this project. So thank you, Emma. Thank you, Ms. Soderbergh. Thank
All
you.
right, so should I wrap it up really quickly just to say,
Yes,
okay,
do it.
this is amazing, Senora. I, as a person who studied Spanish in middle school and high school and in college and lived in Spain and was fluent in Spanish, I can say that there is no other Spanish program that exists like this. I wish that I had been taught in this particular method, because I think that my Spanish would have been even more improved from the beginning had it been taught to me the way that Senora does. So you guys are extremely lucky that you have her. Our next session is going to be all about math. So Mrs. Daly, I know I'm watching Olivia go, yay. So yes, Mrs. Daly is going to talk all about math and the way that she is spiraling up the math curriculum for high school. She's going to talk about teaching Algebra 2, as well as pre-calculus, and also what kind of are the possibilities for calculus, for multivariable calculus, for more practical math applications, how to invest money, how to, calculate interest, how to do all those practical math things that we need to know how to use. That is on March 20th. Via Zoom, of course. So we will hopefully, the UN family, I'm assuming, will be there, and we'll see if anybody else wants to come and hear about math. So that's it. Thank you guys so much.
Thank you
Yeah,
so
thank
much.
you.
All of you. Thank you. Thank
That's
you.
great. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Buenas noches.
Buenas noches.
Buenas
Yes.
Buenas noches.
Gracias.